Welcome back, my friends, to the Blessings Podcast. I am your host, Mitzi Campbell, and this is the place where we talk about the blessings and the lessons of life, and we expand our consciousness, and we are focused on mindset. And today I want to talk about the best time of day to cultivate a positive mindset, and that is, of course, the morning. Now, you may call yourself a morning person, or you may call yourself a night owl, but the trick is that scientifically speaking, there are reasons why the morning is a good time to tap into things like fresh start, new you, getting a reset, things like this. It's the perfect time to reconnect after a night of healing sleep because scientifically, your brain, your hormones, and your nervous system are uniquely primed at this time of day for realignment, identity shifting, and intention setting. And this happens best right after waking. In fact, it can even take place before you open your eyes. So if you think of yourself as someone who is not a morning person, you may want to reframe what it means to be a morning person, because the morning is the perfect time to make that alignment with your highest self a part of you, a part of your identity for the day and for the long term. This is grounded in neuroscience, psychology, and physiology, and I'm going to get into the details of that. But before I do, I want to talk to you a little bit about the idea of a morning routine, because I have tried so many times to follow a certain guru's instructions on what I'm supposed to do in the morning. I've read the 5 a.m. Club, I've read all kinds of books, Atomic Habits, and on, with people who suggest what you, quote, should do in the morning. And I will try things. I will take out my journal in the morning. I will meditate every morning. I will have a certain drink or do my exercise at a certain time. And to be very honest, when it isn't something that really feels like I resonate with it, I don't keep it up. It doesn't stick. And I think the reason for me, and maybe if you're like me, you feel the same way, I don't want to be told I have to do something every single morning or else I'm not going to be optimized or whatever it is. I believe that your morning needs to be naturally a part of what feels good to you. And yes, sometimes we should do things that don't feel good, and they are good for us, even if they don't feel good in the moment. But I think that in terms of cultivating morning habits, you want to think more in terms of morning activities, morning rituals, rather than routines, which sound rigid. I like to be flexible because as I learn and I grow, I might want to change what I'm doing in the morning. I might want to add something. I might want to take something away. I might need to do something on one morning that I don't do on another morning. And so I think flexibility and open-mindedness is always the right decision. In terms of a morning routine, we tend to idealize them when we're constructing these routines. And this is not real life. So when you're reading a book like the 5 a.m. Club and you're trying to design a routine around this, getting up at 5, thinking you're going to be a part of some kind of elite group if you do this, this is predicated on certain conditions. It's got to be that you've had a good night's sleep, you've had your full 8 or 9 hours, that you have a calm house, that you have no early text messages or emails or emergencies or requests from anyone, that you don't have something unexpectedly come up, that you have an inspired mood happening, that you want to do this, that you have unlimited, untapped time and energy. And the truth is that most mornings are not that ideal. They are messy, they can be unpredictable. You might wake up not feeling well, or you might realize you had forgotten to do something. You have to be flexible because you're human. And routine works on perfect days, but it can fail on the real days. And then you shouldn't be trapped in this mindset of whether it's succeeded or failed, whether I've succeeded or failed, whether I'm a good person or whether I'm going to be successful based on whether I've kept up with this morning routine that somebody told me I should do. It was imposed from outside of you. So it's going to be difficult to stick to something like that, where everything has to line up perfectly in order for you to do it. And I know people who say, I get up at 4 o'clock every morning and I do X, Y, and Z every single day. And they believe that and it works for them. And in that case, it's natural for them. It resonates with them. Now, in my case, not so much. So I feel like when that happens, when something is imposed, it feels like rules. And rules can be rigid. They can feel performative, as if you're just following them for the sake of following them because you think you're going to, quote, get something out of it. They can feel like another thing that you should be doing, and it can cause guilt and self-flagellation when you don't do it. And this is when your nervous system starts resisting and it starts to not feel right. It doesn't feel good to do this. So humans don't tend to thrive under this kind of self-imposed micromanagement. We thrive through choice, not through force, and through flexibility and through alignment. When there are too many steps involved in a morning routine, it can also create overwhelm. And I have fallen into this trap where I've got to do 10 things before I can start my day, including meditating, journaling, working out, hydrating, having my greens, reading something, having a gratitude practice, doing affirmations, stretching, breath work, the whole 9 yards. And many days I will do all of those things, but it doesn't all fall into the first hour of the day necessarily. When you end up with so many things to do that you're putting on yourself, it feels like it's a morning job rather than a morning routine. And your brain is going to resist this over complexity. When it's too much, your brain is going to shut down. At first, it might feel inspiring, but then it's going to become exhausting. And then that leads you into self-criticism, which is something you don't want to do. You don't need to fix yourself. You're not behind on anything. You shouldn't have to worry about being this perfect morning person, because routine, when it feels like more of a self-respect thing, is when it works. But when it starts to feel like a self-punishment, it's just not going to stick. Your morning activities should be aligned with who you want to be. They should be aligned with who you are in the moment, your identity currently, but also adding elements of the person who you're in the process of becoming. It shouldn't be, I want to be a person who meditates every morning, but it just doesn't feel like something I can fit into my routine every day right now. Maybe I can meditate a few mornings a week. And then as I become that person who meditates every day, every morning, it begins to feel more like a place of flow. And that's what you want it to feel like. You want your life to feel like flow. You want it to feel easy. And if what you're trying to incorporate into your morning never seems to work or never seems to fit, then maybe you need to rethink what kind of identity you're taking on, what kind of person you are becoming. Maybe you intended to become someone who writes down 10 things they're grateful for every day, but it just doesn't feel good. It starts to feel performative to make that list every day. So you can think about things that you're grateful for throughout the day. There are other ways to accomplish what you want your morning activities to accomplish that don't necessarily have to be a part of a routine, because the morning is kind of a fragile time. You wake up and you're feeling like susceptible. So many times, I know this is true for me, I do not like to speak first thing in the morning. I do not want to talk. I want to wake up slowly. I want to wake up naturally. I want to do my self-care rituals, like putting some water on my face, brushing my teeth, and I want to do those things alone as I wake up. It can be a fragile time, and jumping into something right away, like I know Mel Robbins talks about having her workout gear right next to the bed, and she just jumps out of bed and jumps right into her sneakers. And while that may work very well for her because it forces her to work out, I can't imagine myself doing that. Maybe I could get used to it, and maybe at some point in my life that would be beneficial to me. But at this point, I know what I need. And this is what I mean about staying flexible. You know what you need at any given season of life. There may be a season when you want to force yourself to do something like that, jumping into your workout gear and going right outside, but maybe not. And it's okay to honor that. You must meet yourself first. You're the first person who greets you when you wake up. You get to choose your tone for the day. You are not a checklist that has to be completed. So think about how you can shift from this pressure to have some kind of rigid morning routine into more of a rhythm, something that feels like it's a rhythm, a natural flow for you. You can shift from having tasks that you impose upon yourself to having intentions, things you intend to do. And guess what? It's okay if it doesn't all fit, if it doesn't all get done. Instead of forcing it, turn it into more of a daily devotional practice. Everything you do doesn't have to be about self-improvement. It can simply be about self-knowing, self-remembering, self-mastery. And that's why I think sometimes an anti-routine is a better idea than a routine. You can get into it as more of a ritual or more of a set of intentional activities. So that brings me back to the reasons why the morning is such a good time to really think about what you're doing in terms of how you align with the person that you want to embody for the day. And in the morning, when you first wake up, your brain is passing through the theta and the alpha brain waves. And these are the same states that are used in hypnosis and in deep meditation. So in theta, this is where your subconscious is accessible. You have creativity and emotional processing going on. And in alpha, this is your relaxed focus. This is where you're very suggestible and receptive. Now, there are 2 times a day when this happens naturally. One is when you are waking up. One is when you are going to sleep. And these are the ideal times to self-program and to begin to implant that stuff that you want to embody. Your beliefs, your desires, your manifestations. This is when these things will imprint into your brain faster than any other time of day. Morning in particular. This is when affirmations, intentions, and any mindset statements can penetrate deep into your brain. For me, I will lay in my bed at night and also in the morning. In the morning, it's different because the sun is coming out. You see the sunlight, and I can perceive the sunlight before I open my eyes. So I know it's time to get out of bed soon because I can sense the sunlight. And I like to wake up naturally. I know not everybody has that opportunity to do that, but I like to wake up naturally unless I need to get up earlier, in which case I'll set a gentle alarm. I do tend to wake up at the same time almost every day between 6:30 and 7, and I can sense that light. But before I open my eyes, I am going through a series of, I guess I would call them activities. It's not always the same thing, but I'm allowing my mind to gravitate towards positivity, gratitude, and setting my intentions for the day. I might think about things that I have planned and imbue positivity on them. Like, for instance, if I have a meeting, I might think about, well, I'm meeting with so-and-so today, and it's going to be about this topic, and this is how I would like the meeting to go. And I will begin to visualize a little bit on manifesting positivity around whatever I'm doing for the day. It's going to be amazing because I am setting it up that way without even opening my eyes. And I will also do a little self-talk at this time. I will think about developing confidence, developing my self-worth. And one that I've been saying to myself for the past couple of weeks that's been working out really well is a mantra. And it's been, I love my life. If you've gotten my newsletter, you've seen me write about this. It's been so powerful just to say and repeat that over and over. I love my life. I love my life. Even if something unpleasant has happened, I love my life. What is it trying to teach me? Why is this in my movie? I love my life. And it's been amazing. So I highly recommend that. Another set of statements that you can include at this time of day is the Ho'oponopono series, which is, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. By the way, it does not matter in which order you say those sentences. Those are the 4 sentences, and it can be in any order. I know that because I asked Dr. Joe Vitale, who wrote the book on it, Zero Limits, from the doctor in Hawaii who developed this whole system. He told me it does not matter with the order. It is more about your intentions behind it. So back to the science, okay? So in the first hour of waking up, you experience something called a cortisol awakening response. And I am reading this from my notes because this is the actual science behind it. It's a natural hormonal rise. And what happens during this time is that your focus begins to heighten. So you can feel this happening as you wake up. You're a little foggy, a little drowsy still when you first wake up. And then as you awaken, your focus begins to heighten and your attention begins to sharpen. And then your learning centers of the brain and your memory centers of the brain begin to come alive. And this enhances neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire. So if during this time, when you're in that process of waking up, like coming through those brain states that I mentioned, you can direct your mind during this window, and you are literally building your emotional and your mental architecture for the day. You're building the foundation for your entire day, literally in your brain, because you are aware that this is happening and you're able to direct it in a positive manner. The nervous system in your body is also at its most neutral place. So if you went to bed upset about something, it's always better when you wake up. That's why we say sleep on it, because when you wake up in the morning, you feel calm. And it isn't until you start thinking about things that you might reactivate any feelings of distress or upset that you had the night before. But at the most pure moment when you first open your eyes, you're neutral. You haven't done anything yet. You haven't had any thoughts. Before you even have thoughts, you have this feeling in your body. And I want you to pay attention to that. You haven't looked at your phone yet and checked any notifications. You have not responded to any stress or any of your thoughts. You haven't engaged in any decision making. You haven't absorbed anyone else's energy. Your nervous system is at that neutral, calm state, which makes it easier to direct your emotional state intentionally before the outside interference shifts you. And that outside interference can come from your own thoughts. So be careful. Morning is you get to demonstrate self-leadership, and that can happen even before other things like self-protection or the more primitive needs of the body and the spirit come into play. So you get to take control. Your identity is the most fluid right when you wake up. You're most open to allowing yourself to have the kind of day you want because your brain hasn't fully rebooted into that default identity that you were yesterday quite yet. So you're open. You are in this state able to decide if you want to fall into old patterns. You have liminal area, this state of mind between who you were yesterday and who you can become today. And a lot of people will wake up and they will make resolutions, little mini resolutions, like who am I going to be today? How am I going to show up today for my kids? How am I going to show up for my coworkers at work? Who am I going to be? And there are some great questions from the book, A Course in Miracles, that I like to ask at this time of morning, as well as the other questions I mentioned earlier. And these are speaking to the creator or your higher power and saying these questions, asking these questions. What would you have me do? What would you have me say? Who would you have me be today? So you have this neurological sweet spot when you wake up that you can upgrade your identity. You can up-level your self-worth and self-concept and self-esteem. You can decide to be confident. You can break old emotional loops. You can set new narratives for yourself internally. Morning is when you can rewrite narratives and edit your identity. This happens biologically, naturally for humans. And one of the main reasons why is because we get sleep. Sleep is so powerful, so important, I cannot overstate, because it cleans you up. It eradicates your emotional and your cognitive clutter, because during sleep, all this healing takes place, and it's also physical healing. But your brain during sleep is processing. It's processing the things that you've experienced. It processes things that have laid in your brain in the memory for a while. It can clear out emotional residue. Like I said before, sleeping on it. There's a reason why we say that, because it does make things better. Your brain is able to reset the stress chemicals and the hormones and things that have been coursing through your body. So I have histamine intolerance. Sleep is the best medicine for that because it resets my whole body. My mast cells in my body are not freaking out while I'm sleeping. They're resetting. They're calm because you're not doing anything. You're not digesting. You're not eating. You're not active. So your body gets a rest, and it can remove the metabolic waste, the things that are causing toxicity in your system, the things you've breathed in all day. You've been outside. What do you think is floating around in the air, especially if you're in a city? You're breathing all kinds of things in. And you can wake up in a clean state neurologically. And this can make it an ideal time to install new thoughts, new intentions, instead of rerunning all the old programs. Your day is going to need your attention. Your day is going to sometimes get hijacked, and sometimes even your day will cause you to go into fight or flight or freeze or fawn, and your higher reasoning brain a lot more accessible when you're not dealing with any of that. And so in the morning, you're not dealing with any of that yet. So this means you get to think consciously. I have my best ideas in the morning. I will write in the morning when I get up. I will sit at my computer and write out my thoughts, write out the dreams that I've had the night before into a journal. I'd love to do that as well if I remember them. I can choose intention over impulse. I'm not reacting. It's a proactive time of day. Your highest self decision maker is awake first. So from here, plan out the rest of your day. Think, what do I need to take away from this day ahead of me to stay as close to this state that I wake up in as I possibly can? Because the morning is the time that is the prime time for intention, consciousness, and energetic alignment. Think about how good you feel when you wake up, especially if you just have a comfy little nest you're laying in at night and you wake up warm. This is why a lot of people emphasize the morning routine, the morning ritual, because it is such an optimal time. But don't get stuck in rigidity. Let it feel good. Let your morning feel good, because it is just a beautiful, beautiful time. Go outside also into the sunlight. One of the first things I do is I open all the shades in the house. And if I can go outside in the sun, I go right outside with my bare feet. Now, of course, it gets a little cold where I live, but if the sun is out, I want to see it on my face first thing. And there's so many scientists who talk about this as well. So the morning is really not just about jumping into the day and getting a jump on it and doing the hustle. It is about your personal sovereignty. It's about taking control of yourself and being who you want to be and really tapping into that. So my night owls, I love you guys, but the morning is where it's at. And in my newsletter, I explain what I do in the morning, my little rituals that I perform, and they definitely can change. But right now I have a great little groove that I am into. And one of the most important things that happens in my morning is that when I look at my phone, which I do pretty much right away because I want to see what time it is and I want to see the weather oftentimes for the day. So I will see that my father has sent out his morning message. And every morning my dad sends out a message to me and my sister and the grandkids, and he tells us good morning, I love you, and gives us something nice for the day, some kind of a positive thought. And so this is the message that takes me to heaven right in the morning, because honestly, it reminds me of a connection to gratitude, something much greater than myself. And I am so grateful to get those messages from my dad, because number one, he has made me the person I am today, given me so many of my values and my character traits that I am just eternally grateful for. But also, he is in his 80s, and I know he's not going to be around forever. And there's going to be a day that I don't get that message. And so I made the decision to carry on his legacy for the world, because I thought to myself, I'm getting this message and I'm like, wow, this is really making an impact on my identity, on my mindset, and on my success. Just getting these messages, it's empowering. It's like it makes me feel like $1 million when I get that message. It warms my heart every day. And I wanted to do that for other people. So I created Your Positive Moment motivational text messages. Mine are a little different than my dad's. They're more substantive. They have the message that says, good morning, you are loved, because every person needs to wake up and feel they're loved. I wake up in the morning, and the first thing after I check my phone and I wake up my slow way, I go downstairs and my partner, Jonathan, is usually up. And so the first thing, he walks over to me at the bottom of the stairs and we hug. We don't speak. And then he says good morning. And then I go and do my stuff in the bathroom. And it's just this beautiful way of waking up. But not everybody has somebody to say I love you and good morning in the morning. That's why I wanted that to be a part of this message. It's so important to me. And then there's an affirmation. And then there is a reflection, something to think about for the day. And then there is an action, something simple to do to keep you in the flow, in that beautiful state of ease. And really, if you can try to keep yourself in an elevated state all day long, if something difficult happens in your day, you're able to bounce back from it very quickly when this is your default. This message that I send out makes positivity and growth mindset your default state. That's my goal, because that will help to raise the collective consciousness, one person at a time. So if you are not receiving my messages yet, please jump in there and get in there by going to yourpositivemoment.com. You get the first 2 weeks free as my gift to you. And then you'll keep getting them forever if you want. You can sign up and get them monthly. So I hope that you will, because that will be your way of joining the movement of raising the consciousness. We are at a pretty low level consciously. And there's a great book I'm reading called Power versus Forces, Dr. David Hawkins, and he does measurements on the consciousness of humanity and talks about how the levels are, where we are, and how you can kind of measure where other people are and where they're kind of living in their consciousness. And I believe that as we raise our own individual consciousness, we ripple that out and it creates a butterfly effect, which affects the world. And man, we need to elevate. We need our mindsets and our consciousness and our levels of being, our levels of functioning, our feeling, our way, our plane of existence, our frequency to be high enough so that we can all experience thriving and joy and love and all those wonderful things that we all so much deserve. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. And if you did and you would like to share it with a friend, I would be most grateful. And I am super grateful to you for listening. This one was a little bit long, but I think the morning stuff, I get so excited about it because it's so important. It is really, really important, and it has changed my life focusing on it. I'll bring it to a close. I love you all, and I hope that you have an amazing week. Stay tuned for next episode, which will be coming out now on Thursdays right now, and my newsletter. You can sign up if you're not getting it at mitzicampbell.com/newsletter. Super simple. Sail on, everybody.